And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, I have John with me, and John is a repeat offender. What do I mean by that? John has been on the show multiple times, and one of the reasons I like having John on the show is that you can't take John and you can't put him into a box, because John is somebody who did things completely different than you did. He led his life in a completely different fashion than you and I did. 5-time winner of the City of Tomball's Property Management Company of the Year. Now, you would think that this guy has got like a massive ego, right? This guy's been there, done that. He's created something out of nothing, essentially, and he's built this big real estate empire. And I haven't even told you that he owns 6 different multifamily apartment communities, plus a single-family house on top of it, just to put a little cherry on it. Now, you would think that maybe this guy's ego was out of control, but I am here to tell you this guy is down to earth. This guy is grounded. This guy, if you were to pick up his ego would be very small, because he's learned humility in his life. This guy is now. Let me sprinkle some more stuff on, because let me tell you more about what this guy's done. This guy was the president of the Houston Apartment Association. Did that for, I think, a year, maybe 2 years. When we bring him on, I'll ask him for the actual details. And so you have a guy who's in his 30s, who's basically the head of a major organization representing major organizations in the apartment industry. And yet this man is still humble. So let me do this. Let me bring John onto the show, because I want you to hear from his lips the humility that's going to pour out. Because this guy is not all about, this is what I've done. And he's not all about, this is what I'm going to do. He's all about helping other people. And when you become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, helping other people is one of the main things that you must learn. If you are a selfish person, you will not do well as a Lifestyles Unlimited member. You won't fit well within the culture, because we like to help other people out. So with no further ado, let me bring John onto the show. John, how are you today? Welcome back to the show, my friend. It is a blast to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Al. It is a blessing to be here and good to talk to you again.
You know, I'm just going to start off the show by asking you the question I know you get asked all the time. Now, just the backstory for those of you that don't know John's backstory. At the age of 19, you started this real estate career. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Okay. And you and your father came up with this game plan to buy a 50-unit apartment community, correct?
Yeah, we started out buying some single families. My first year of membership. This was 2007, 2008, when you could buy a lot of foreclosed homes for pennies on the dollar. And after learning that single family market for about a year, and being the one that ran those operations, we transitioned into a 50-unit apartment complex in a not so great part of town, and I got to learn a lot running that thing day to day.
Okay, now since then you've also gone back to school. You've earned your college degree, correct?
Yeah, while I was running that 50 unit for 4 years, I would work there all during the day, usually in the office on site, and then at night would study and take my tests for an online business management degree.
Which avenue do you think prepared you best for the success that you've achieved thus far in your life? Was it working in that 50 unit, or was it going to college, or is it a hybrid?
I picked up a few things from college, but I will say, working in the business and having that real life experience was far and away more beneficial for me in what I've done and what I've learned. I can't replicate the kind of experience you have, with things I would learn from talking to other mentors and members at Lifestyles, or going to some of the classes at Lifestyles, and then being able to immediately the next day turn around and implement those lessons and tips and tricks and advice at my own business. Right away, without having to think like, oh, that'd be nice to know for later sometime. That was instrumental in a really effective way for me to learn and grow.
So why did you spend the time and the money to get that college degree? Was there some other external pressure impacting you?
I felt like at the time that it was beneficial, maybe even necessary from a qualifying for loans standpoint, potentially raising money down the road from investors. If we ever tried to do any kind of institutional money, that would be a good box to check. Now I don't think it's very impactful. Now that I've got the track record, it's really hard for me to say whether it was extremely beneficial early on or not. So it's something I can say I've done is great, but does not compare to the clout that the track record has and the lessons I've learned from being actually in the business, boots on the ground. I think it's important. A lot of times if I'm talking to someone who's trying in their early 20s or late teens, trying to figure things out, the assumption in the conversation is that this needs to end with like, oh, you've got to go into real estate. And that's not necessarily the case. It's not the fit for everybody. I think what's more important, and that real estate may be a great path. I'm not discouraging it by any means. But I think what's really important is thinking about what are your unique strengths, how are you wired, how did God make you, and then what kind of things can you do in a career or really in your life that adds the most value to the most people. And what's really important to you, it's the Stephen Covey principle of starting with the end in mind. As people are trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, I think I'm by no means the experienced sage to come to with that question. I've still got a lot to figure out as well. But some things I have learned is I get a lot of satisfaction nowadays. I've lived a very blessed life where I get a lot of family time with my kids. I have 3 young children that are 9, 6, and 4 years old, and I am in a very sweet and short window where my kids love hanging out with me. They're hanging on my every word, and a lot of people with kids in this range get to a point in their careers where they need to be putting in the grind and putting in the hours, and that's where the most is demanded of them. And it's really sad to miss out on this time, this window with your kids. And so I'm really blessed to have a lot of flexibility in my schedule and be able to be present while my kids are so available and like sponges soaking up that time with dad. So having something with some level of schedule flexibility, at least for me, is very important. That might not be important for everybody, but that was very important for me. And then having a career or job that is really focused on helping other people and adding value to their lives. And we do that in many different types of people. We have investors that we try to be as transparent and honest with and give them a great return on their investment with us and their trust with us. We have employees and team members who give us their lives. I mean, they're showing up every day to these properties and to our offices, and we can value them and treat them as a holistic human and not just a wheel in a machine. Include their families, to be flexible with them when they have personal emergencies, understand when they're feeling burnout and they need some extra leash, give them the tools they need to succeed, and provide them a job where they feel known, they know when they're winning, they have an opportunity for growth, and they have an opportunity to make an impact in the lives of our residents. And that's the last group is, with our residents, we try to do so much more than just providing a roof over their head. And we do that with a lot of integrity and not trying to just take advantage of them and sneak in fees and things like that, but as well as doing things like bringing after-school kids programs to the property. So if both parents are working and a kid gets home from school, they don't have to go home to an empty, dark apartment, but they can come to a really nourishing and beneficial program in our kids club room, or bringing in supplemental nutrition and food bank distribution meals, after-school tutoring, computer classes, ESL classes, things like that, where we really differentiates us from our competition and feels like we're adding a lot of value to the residents, and also makes our team members feel like they're making an impact in people's lives. And that's how we do it in the apartment operating world. But I tell people all the time, you got to figure out what is going to be your specific industry, your specific career path, and how you bring in these elements of providing the most benefit and the most impact to the most people in such a way that creates a fulfilling and rewarding, satisfying life and career for you. So you can, when you're home, and you got, if you're married, if you have a family, they get all of you, and you're not distracted and you're not gone all the time on work trips, or you're not, outside all the time on work calls. When you're home, they get you, and I'm not saying I do that wonderfully all the time, but I'm trying do my best there. And then when you're at work, you are rewarded by providing the most benefit to the most people and improving the quality of lives for everyone involved. And the best way to do that is as early as possible in your life, figure out how God wired you and what your unique strengths are. We are not all the same. We are meant to sit in different seats on a bus, and it takes a team to really exponentially impact people's lives. A lot of people want to be lone rangers, but you can't do anything at scale by yourself. And so it's real important to know what your unique strengths are, what you bring to the table, and then surround yourself with other people who have different strengths than you and are going to be able to run different aspects of the program or the business or the team than you are. So I'm the visionary guy that brings a lot of positivity and glass half full, and I've got to surround myself with realists and people that are detail oriented, because that's not me, and people who are risk oriented, because that's not me. And in order to keep me out of trouble and be able to fill those gaps in any team I'm on, in any situation, and knowing that I can bring the hype or I can at least bring the positivity and build consensus. But I need to surround myself with people who have skill sets that I don't. And the sooner I can learn what my unique strengths are and what I bring to the table and be confident in those and step into those strengths and step into those roles, regardless of the situation I'm in, the more productive and encouraging of a human I'm going to be.
Wow, ask a simple question and you get a PhD level answer. Good job, John. Are you sure you didn't go back and get that PhD?
Did not. I'm done with school.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm just going to confer an honorary Lifestyles Unlimited PhD on you. I hope Dell doesn't mind, but let's just go ahead and do that. There, Dominus Ominous, or however that works, it's all done. So, here's a question for you that I'm sure floats through the minds of parents and also of young adults looking to get into this business. If you're a young adult and you're just getting into the workforce, and maybe you've gone to college, maybe you've chosen not to go to college, it really doesn't matter at this point, but you're looking to get into the workforce and you want to do real estate, but one of the challenges you have is there's not a lot of liquid capital. Would you advise somebody to get a job that's real estate related, or should they go after a job that gives them the best return on investment?
I would say two things there. First off, I think if you're needing to build some personal liquid cash to be able to invest, then getting some job in the industry, whether that be on the mortgage side or the brokerage side or the title side or wholesaling, whatever it is, so you can just get kind of some exposure to the market and to how a transaction works and who the players are, and be able to move and position yourself in that way. That's great. I think it's a good thing to do. I would also say that you can, if you have at least some funds that are lacking the amount of money to really go and do it on a larger scale, there are lots of people out there with money that don't have the time, capacity, or desire to go do the grunt work of finding a deal. And so you can leverage that partnership very well. Yeah,
I agree 100%. When we come back from the break, we're going to get back into the mind of John. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Your challenge is that you don't believe you can be rich, is that you don't believe you can retire within 5 years. That's half of your challenge. And until you can come up with that belief system, until you can reconcile that in your mind, you won't be willing to take the steps necessary to get there. So you need to get in here and meet some people.
Join us for the next free workshop and meet the people at Lifestyles Unlimited that will share Del Walmsley's belief system and empower you to take the steps you need to be successful. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon. I'm joined by John, and together we're working on your financial freedom. And if you're a Lifestyles Unlimited member and you've been always wanting to ask the types of questions of John that I'm asking today, this is your show. I'm here to tell you this is your show because we're going to get the answers out of him that you've been dying to hear. So, John, as we went to break, we were talking a little bit about career paths for a young individual. And I just basically cited somebody that maybe could go to college or maybe just finish college. Maybe they're already in the workforce. It really doesn't matter where they're starting. I think what really matters is the fact that they're interested in this real estate investing. So the question was really, should they migrate towards a job that's going to give them some kind of industry experience, or should they migrate towards a job that's going to give them the best income stream possible, because that's going to help fuel their nest egg for investing? And of course, I asked you that question as we got close to the end of the segment. So unfortunately, you didn't get the chance to finish. So here's your chance, John. What else do you have to say on that topic?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get asked a lot, and I would just reiterate, you obviously need to pay your bills, and you have some kind of job that's going to get your finances covered. If you really think that real estate is the career path for you, then getting something in that sector, in that industry, where you learn the business better, start making connections, and figure out who the players are, that is extremely beneficial. But I would also say you don't need necessarily to save up hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars before you can do any deals. There are lots of people who have done that, who have saved up a lot of money, but don't have the knowledge, exposure, time, capacity, energy to go do deals on their own, and are looking for someone to partner with. As I tell people all the time, like, if you've got the energy, the knowledge, and the discipline and the character to go do this well, you can find people that want to invest with you, and it can be a great win-win scenario for everyone, where they feel like they're getting a good return on their investment. You have the opportunity to do real estate deals that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, and that's a plentiful opportunity out there. We joke around that you got to find a sugar daddy, got to find a sugar mama, whatever it is. And I don't mean that in any kind of detrimental way. I'm saying there's just plenty of liquidity out there that wants to be put into real estate deals. You just got to be in the game and learning the knowledge and get the skills to be able to do a deal well, and then be in the circles and be networking enough to where you can find those people that want to passively invest and put up the money for you to do the deals if you're able to find a good one. For me at this stage, raising the money for a deal is not the limiting factor. Finding the deal is far and away the limiting factor, the pinch point in my growth or my advancement. And so if I could find the deal that fits my criteria, it is going to crank out the yield that I want, I can raise the money for it, no problem. It's finding the deal and then operating it well after we purchase. If you can hone those two skill sets, you can find the equity to get the deals done. How
do you hone those two skill sets?
Being in the game and going, this is as much as we want to think that you can do this from a computer, this is a good old boy system a lot of times. And I have gotten more deals and more leads from picking up the phone and calling somebody, being at a networking event, being at a dinner, a luncheon, being involved in the apartment association. So much I think all careers and industries, but especially real estate, is about who you know and who you're in front of. And so, getting really, really good at building a network, working a network, and knowing who to call when you have a problem. I like to say all the time, I usually don't know how to solve problems when they come up, but I do know who to call. And being the kind of person that people will take your call and you will ask advice and then go do what they say, that can lead to an incredible amount of knowledge and advancement when you just have the network of resources to be able to lean on when you're facing a problem.
Now, currently you own an asset management company and you own a real estate management company. Do I have that correct, or am I way off base?
It's really one and the same. We kind of have Veritas Equity Management is my company, and we are the property management company and the asset management company for all my properties.
Okay, so it's all enclosed in the same entity then.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of times, the conventional way that deals are owned and operated is you have, a syndicator, which is somebody like me who finds the deal and they're going to, go lock up the deal on the contract. And then the syndicator will go find an equity investor that is going to put up the money. And then the equity investor approves the deal, they buy the deal, and then they hire an asset management company who's going to manage the asset. And then the asset management company is going to hire a property management company who's going to manage the day-to-day operations and do all the hiring and firing and vendor relations. So it's really a lot of times a very convoluted, multi-tiered, bureaucratic ownership structure, or at least decision-making structure in the ownership of these deals. And that's one of the, I think, strategic advantages that I have and most deals that Lifestyles Limited have is we're a very vertically integrated setup where I am the syndicator, the property, the guy that raises the equity, the property management company, the asset management company. It's all one shop so we can make decisions very quickly and move very nimbly.
How long did it take you to build that structure?
The structure, the blueprint is taught at Lifestyles Unlimited and other places as well. The actual implementation of it is, the tricky part. But I felt like I was light years ahead of somebody who would have been, without the education and mentoring like I got at Lifestyles by having at least a map to be able to go follow, and then following the map and following the blueprint, building the building, that's a different, a different animal. But even having the map starting out is a huge advantage.
Do you think folks just starting out should jump into single family or multifamily, or do you have a preference in that?
There is no one-size-fits-all answer to that, and it all depends on how much liquidity you have at your disposal and how much time and energy and capacity you have at your disposal. There's one end of the scale. If you have a lot of money to invest and not a lot of time, then you probably need to passively invest with somebody else. If you have, all the time in the world and not a lot of money, which is how I started out, single family is probably the way to go to cut your teeth. And then there's everything in between from there. So
for anybody starting out, your best advice is get educated, get the knowledge base before you even spend a dollar. Understand what you're doing in the game, correct?
Yeah, get the map laid out and build your network. Meeting people is free. You might have to buy a coffee or something. But the more you can network, connect, ask questions, and get to know people and figure out who's good at what, who to lean on for what, that is tremendously beneficial, carrying their load.
How many people do you have on the payroll?
I think I've got a total of like 45 or so employees.
A medium-sized company, small company? How would you classify yourself within the industry?
In our space, in the property management world, we are a small company for sure. I manage. We have 1,500 units. There are lots and lots of companies out there with 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30,000 units.
I was just curious because, I think it's very interesting what goes on in the marketplace because most people think that the market is driven by faceless corporate entities, and they don't realize that guys like you and me can actually get involved. So I think it's very important to point out that even though it sounds like you're operating this huge company, in relation to everything else that goes on in that space, it's considered small, and you described it as such. But what I want to do, John, is I want to pick your brain about what you see going on in the marketplace right now. Del Walmsley, our founder and CEO, he is saying that he's seeing blood in the streets. What are you seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, being plugged in with the brokerage community and being so involved with the Houston Apartment Association, I'm really fortunate to have a kind of front row seat to understanding what's going on at the ground level with property operations and with pricing. And as the Fed has significantly raised interest rates over the last year and a half, that directly causes mortgage interest rates to go up, which directly causes cap rates to go up, which directly causes values to go down. And so that was, you just learned, got a PhD in real estate appraisal right there. But the takeaway is, as values have gone down significantly, like a third probably in the last, year and a half, what that does is when people have loans coming to maturity, they have to go either refinance the loan or sell the property. And they don't want to sell the property when values are down 30%. This is not a great time to sell. But when they go to refinance the loan, they may have a loan that's maturing. That was a $10 million loan. But now when they go to refinance, the bank says, hey, I'm only going to be able to give you $9 million for this refinance. So they've got to bring $1 million cash to the table just to refinance their loan, usually at a higher interest rate. And so that creates a lot of uncomfortable situations for owners. So that's when Dell talks about blood in the streets, that's what he's referring to, is all the properties with loans maturing right now are in a really tight spot. Some are selling, some are trying to refinance. Everybody's got really tight operations, and it's going to create a really interesting cycle and potential buying opportunity over the next probably 12 to maybe 24, 36 months.
How many properties that are out there, I mean, percentage-wise, do you think are affected by this situation?
Man, I don't know a percentage-wise necessarily. I can't even remember the dollar amount of debt that's coming due, but it's a big number. It seems like it doesn't take a lot to massively affect the market, even if it's only 20% of the properties that this is happening to. When it happens, it moves cap rates and it moves values a tremendous amount. I had somebody tell me once that I got started in the business at 19 years old and in the middle of a very down market in 2007, 2008. And this person who is a very experienced real estate investor has been doing it since the 80s. Said, John, most people get to experience at least 2 market cycles in their career, depending on what age they got into the business and how long they stay in. Some people get lucky and can experience 3, and those are people that often accumulate a lot of wealth because there's a lot of wealth to be made during these cycles. And he's like, you may have a chance at seeing 4. Potentially in your lifetime, which is an incredible opportunity for me and good timing for everything. And so I'm excited to kind of get into this market. I feel sorry for a lot of people who are getting caught having to refinance or having some kind of liquidity event in this down market. But it's going to create an incredible opportunity for those of us that have the track record and the liquidity to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. That's exactly what I'm seeing in my research. And we know that you've got a huge connectivity with a lot of people that are in the know and they're seeing the same things. So, what would you advise somebody who's just getting started in this business to do with regards to what should they do first?
I think the faster you can jump in and get plugged in, the better. I have friends who have been in the business for a couple of years now, and it's been tough. It's been a hard couple of years with very skinny margins. But I tell them, the deals that you bought now may not be your flagship incredible deals, but you now have gotten a couple deals under your belt, and you have the track record now to take advantage of this wave that is coming. So, if somebody's kind of sitting on the sidelines or, worrying about things, this is, I don't know, but I get the feeling this is going to be one of those kind of once in a decade cycles where we can have some incredible opportunities to really move the needle with these investments.
And I'm guessing you're keeping your powder dry, right?
Doing my absolute best, stashing it as fast as I can.
All right, getting ready for what might come. Although there's no proof that it will happen, correct?
Absolutely not. People have been saying there's a recession due for years and years and years and years and years. We have all kind of holding our breath, waiting for the ball to drop, and has not seemed to drop yet. It seems more likely now than ever, but you're absolutely right. We can't control the future. We don't know what kind of global events may impact things, and you don't want to go all in on something that you don't have a lot of certainty on. But the signs are pointing in a direction saying that it's going to be a great time to buy pretty soon.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned in my almost 60 years on this planet is that you can't time the market, you can't game the market, but you've got to be ready when the market gives you opportunity. Thank you, John, for being on the show. I know people learned a lot from you, and if you want to get started with what we do, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for a free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.